Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today I think I have, honestly, some of the best Battlefield news that I've ever been able to deliver. DICE just revealed Battlefield Portal with an incredible cinematic trailer and tons of info. Portal is essentially a custom game mode editor that mixes in tons of content from classic Battlefield maps, weapons, vehicles, gadgets, and factions in a fully customizable experience. Want to play a rush game as Bad Company's Russian faction versus Battlefield 1942's UK forces? That's an option. Want to play as a squad of the new Ranger robot dogs versus tanks? That's also an option. Battlefield Portal is custom servers taken to the max, and it really lets you just configure tons of options that should add a massive amount of variety to the experience, or even allow players to self-balance the game by removing overpowered weapons and gadgets from a standard match. People saying, "I wish they would bring back Gunmaster from Battlefield 3, will probably be able to recreate Gunmaster in Portal. Now at launch, there will be a variety of official Portal experiences built by DICE. Classic modes like Conquest, Rush, and Team Deathmatch with standard rules will be available, but players will also be able to just customize everything through Portal's community experiences. You'll use the Battlefield Portal Builder to create these custom experiences, or you can just browse and join ones that other players have made. You can also share anything that you make. The Builder is a web-based tool and gives you total control over pretty much every aspect of the experience. On top of standard settings like maps, modes, and factions, it'll also offer a logic system that lets you build up custom parameters. And as you tinker with your modes, you can even test them by playing against AI. Portal will offer a selection of 13 maps, 6 classic ones from past Battlefield games, and Battlefield 2042's 7 launch maps. Those classic maps are Battle of the Bulge and El Alamein from Battlefield 1942, Arica Harbor and Valparaiso from Bad Company 2, and Caspian Border and Noshaar Canals from Battlefield 3. And while you could play these modes on the standardized 64-player matches if you wanted, well, you also have the option to bump them up to 128 players as well. It should also be noted that the gameplay shows that these maps have seen some nice visual updates, especially the screenshots of Battle of the Bulge and El Alamein, which are basically going to be entirely new experiences. The Battlefield 1942 versions of these maps are so old that the update requires an entire overhaul. I'm also extremely curious to see how 1942 weapons will behave. Will it be more like Battlefield 5 gunplay or 2042 gunplay with 1942 weapons, or will it actually try to recreate the extremely old school mechanics from 1942? It's also somewhat bizarre to think that Battlefield 2042 may offer the best Battlefield World War II experience yet, complete with B-17s and Spitfires. Speaking of which, there will be 40 plus vehicles to pick from 3 different theaters of war, and 30 plus gadgets, including classics like MAVs, radio beacons, defibrillators, and EOD bots. Now, of course, Portal modes include the classics like Conquest and Rush, but the whole point of Portal is that you can use it to create totally new modes. Mode settings will allow you to tweak the basic stuff like factions, weapons, and vehicles, but you can also tweak mobility parameters like the ability to ADS, go prone, and more. The visibility parameters will allow you to toggle in-game heads-up displays and mini-maps for all players. Weapons, specialists, gear, and vehicles can all be restricted so that you can have players play with a very specific set of weapon options, and you can also completely change the scale of the mode by changing the player count. And if that's not enough, the settings go a layer deeper. Team selection options let you decide which teams and eras are available. Like I said at the start, if you want to have a mode where modern day Russian forces duke it out with World War II era UK soldiers, you can. Faction options also let you adjust which soldiers are available from each faction. That means the classes from past Battlefield games return with the Battlefield Portal. Each faction comes with their game's class structure. So Battlefield 3's Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon class will have their classic weapons and gadgets to pick from. You can also customize what weapon attachments each faction has access to. So if you want the Battlefield 3 faction to not have rocket launchers when playing against Battlefield 1942 soldiers, that's doable. The same goes for vehicles. If you want Bad Company 2's helicopters to tango with Spitfires from Battlefield 1942, well, have at it. Now the final layer of this is the logic editor. These deeper parameters give you control over the rules, victory conditions, and specific in-game events. It looks extremely powerful, and I wouldn't at all be surprised if some of these modes start becoming more popular than, say, the base game itself, or even start designing future modes for Battlefield as we know it. Could somebody make a Battle Royale mode, a Zombies mode, or maybe something nobody's thought of yet? Heck, it's possible, in fact I'd say inevitable, that an esports mode will emerge from this, since pro players will be able to restrict weapons and set conditions very specifically. Now it seems like Portal might function a little bit like a rental server program, but perhaps maybe more like Battlefield 5's community games. We still don't exactly know how or if rental servers will come back or how it will integrate with this system specifically. Certainly there's something to be said about having dedicated rental servers and maybe some additional admin controls, but who knows if that's DICE's plan. Now, just taking a step back from all of this info I just dumped on you, this whole thing sounds extremely exciting. Part of me is like, base game? What base game? I want to see what the remastered 1942 maps look like. Will they add in Battlefield 1 maps and weapons eventually? What about loading up a Caspian border map with 128 players? Oh yeah, and TDM No Shar Canals is coming back in a super authentic way. Heck, it could be authentic, or if you want, maybe No Shar Canals with only World War II weapons. It's kind of set my mind racing, and I think this is possibly one of the smartest things DICE has ever done. The Battlefield community has been filled with tons of creative individuals who, for the longest time, have had no outlet to modify the game. This will allow everyone who's ever had a what-if idea to possibly execute it in Portal, and maybe it'll be the greatest thing ever, maybe even set the tone for the future of Battlefield. Heck, I've been blabbing for years about how DICE can and should improve their games. Maybe I'll actually be able to make those modifications or modes that I've wanted to see. Now, DICE also had a little bit of new info about 2042 aside from the Portal experience. Hazard Zone is the last major mode that DICE have left to cover. They stressed again that this mode is a high-stakes squad-based game type that is not a battle royale. It's unclear when it's launching or when it will be revealed. Now, 2042's first season of live service content will be covered in detail before launch. It'll offer new maps, specialists, vehicles, weapons, and more, but we don't know exactly when the live service content starts rolling out or if it'll extend beyond the game's first year. DICE has confirmed that the Battlefield 2042 open beta is happening in September across all platforms. Pre-ordering will get you early access during a closed beta phase. Now also, why don't we just talk about the little snippets of gameplay that DICE showed off? We get a cleaner look at gunplay from 2042, and it does appear to be slick. The weapon sounds are super punchy, and the weapon models and animations look great, and player visibility also looks good. Some things that stood out about the gameplay are an armor icon on the heads-up display. Portal will offer tons of customization, so it's unclear if the armor mechanic is specific to Portal, or something we'll see across all of Battlefield 2042. The TTK on all the weapons look pretty on par with the past games. Most enemies go down in 3 to 4 shots. One of the gameplay sections also confirms that hardcore will come back. One of the teams has reduced health, which means that they'll go down in a single headshot, even with a pistol. Overall, this was a pretty solid presentation by DICE. The gameplay looked solid, and DICE are clearly investing a ton of time and resources into the Portal system. We're getting the most robust custom server options since Battlefield 4, which is something I certainly wasn't expecting with this title. Now, I'd love to turn it over to you guys and say, what do you think about this presentation? Are you excited for Battlefield Portal? And if so, what kinds of modes and experiences do you want to see from it? And of course, before I go, I'd like to say thanks for tuning in. It's been so long since a Battlefield game had me, well, this excited. I'm having a blast covering 2042, and I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. If you're new around here, please consider subscribing. It keeps you in the loop whenever we upload and also helps the channel reach new viewers. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.